धीर धीर जन प्रेरणा कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन प्रभु प्रेमामृतम बनिधि धीर धीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो पूजित चैतन्य कृपा भरऊ भुवि भुव भारा वहन तारक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुग श्री जीव गोपालक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुग श्री जीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन गान कीर्तन गान नर्तन परम प्रेम वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो कृपा भरऊ श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरऊ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुग श्री विचार नहीं तुम्हें पुनः सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण करो निर्विकारनैकनिपुण सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridham ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktavinda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktavinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada, all glories to Samud Vaishnavi devotees. Maharaj, thank you so much for being here. Devotees, we thank you for being here. Hare Krishna. We are very much blessed. We have His Holiness with us today. Of course, Maharaj needs no introduction, but we're just honored and very excited that we have his association today. Maharaj, without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay, Haribol,
Hare Krishna.
glories Prabhupada, my obeisances. Okay. Some problem?
Yes, I'm trying to fix it.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if you make me co-host, I can help.
Srimati is good. She can do it. Sahadev.
You're on mute, Prabhuji. We can't hear you.
Yes, Maharaj.
Sure.
Srimati, I'm making you a co-host, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll pull up the verse. Canto 3, chapter 16, verse number
32. Yes.
36.
Oh, sorry. Yes, 36.
Yes, Maharaj. Sorry.
Mhm. Okay.
Are you able to see?
Okay, we can see now.
Please accept my humble obeisance, August Prabhupada. Yes, Guruji.
Okay, give me 1 minute here to fix my screen a little. I need a wider screen. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tayor Asuro Adya Tejasaya Mayor Hiva Akshiptam Teja Etarhi Bhagavanstad Viditsati. Translation. It is the prowess of these twin asuras, demons, that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. Lord Brahma speaking to Kashyapa Muni. Purport. Although Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, formerly Jai and Vijay, became asuras, the demigods of this material world could not control them, and therefore Lord Brahma said that neither he nor all the demigods could counteract the disturbance they created. They came within the material world by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he alone could counteract such disturbances. In other words, although Jai and Vijay assumed the bodies of asuras, they remained more powerful than anyone, thus proving that the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to fight because the fighting spirit is also within him. He is the original in everything, and when he desires to fight, he must fight with a devotee. Therefore, by his desire only were Jai and Vijay cursed by the Kumaras. The Lord ordered the gatekeepers to go down to the material world to become his enemies, so that he could fight with them and his fighting desires would be satisfied by the service of his personal devotees. Brahma showed the demigods that the situation created by the darkness for which they were disturbed was the desire of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to show that even though these two attendants were coming in the forms of demons, they were very powerful, greater than the demigods, who could not control them. No one could surpass the acts of the Supreme Lord. Demigods were also advised not to try to counteract this incident because it was ordered by the Lord. Similarly, anyone who is ordered by the Lord to perform some action in the material world, especially in preaching his glories, cannot be counteracted by anyone. The will of the Lord is executed under all circumstances. Om Gyan Timirandasya Girajana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pacharine. Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya De Sutarine. Vanchakalpa Tarubhescha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And the will of the Lord is supreme. The Lord has two ways to express his will. One is direct and one is indirect. and why don't we call it, that's actually mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. He has his desire for what he wants to happen, and he also has his other aspect of his will called his permissive will, that he allows things to happen. Although he doesn't directly desire it, he allows it. And that's different. Here we're talking about his direct will. And that is the Lord wanted to fight. And it says, Prabhupada used to say, where do you get that fighting propensity? Is coming from the Lord. Because we are part and parcel of the Lord, we have many of his same qualities in smaller capacity, smaller quantity. The tendency to fight is there. You can see how people are fighting everywhere in the world today. It's there, but it's because it's there in the Supreme Lord. Except when the Lord wants to fight, everyone is benedicted. When we get into fights, a lot of times no one is benedicted, and everything becomes topsy-turvy or calamitous, you might say. So here, but back to the point, the Lord's will is supreme. There are many incidents throughout the Shastras will illustrate that. When the demons and the demigods were fighting, and Mayadanavan, who is the mystic demon, he's one of the chief demons, created this elixir of immortality. It was a lake, actually, that when the demons were killed, if their bodies were still intact, he would throw them into this elixir, and then they would come back with renewed energy and fight again. So the demigods were becoming quite mortified because they couldn't defeat the demons, although they were killing them. They kept coming back. So the demigods went to Brahma and said, this is the case. And Brahma said, all right. So he commissioned himself and Shiva to turn themselves into a calf and a cow. And they came wandering into the area where that lake was and started drinking up the whole lake. When Mayadanava saw this, the demons also saw it, and they wanted Mayadanavan to stop it. He said, this is the will of the Lord. Therefore, I cannot do anything to change it. So, yeah, when Prabhupada talks about this in the purport, where he explains that you have your will, I have my will, but the will of the Lord is the will that will manifest. Therefore, so as devotees, we want to understand what is the will of the Lord. And that way we can connect with that and align our will with his will, and therefore we will be successful in the execution of everything in life, including, of course, our devotional practice. So the Lord's will is that he wants everyone to become Krishna conscious. And how that manifests is in a variety of ways, but that's his supreme will. And therefore he empowers his devotees with his will to help carry out his will. As here it says in the very end of the purport, when someone is preaching the glories of the Lord, they are empowered by the Lord, and therefore they will always be successful. Why? Because that's the will of the Lord. That's a very essential principle for devotees. Therefore, as Srila Prabhupada said, he wanted all of his devotees to preach Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada gave us that instructions, become qualified, and he gave many examples how Lord Chaitanya empowered the Kurma Brahmin by telling him to stay home, continue to live in the Grihastha ashram, but whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna. Whoever you meet, teach him to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And he said, by my command, be guru, save the land. The word guru is loosely used with many different categories of understanding. So one who gives knowledge to others, even though they don't have a formal position, they are also considered to be guru. So Lord Chaitanya used that and Prabhupada emphasized that. He wanted all his devotees to be instruments to give the same mercy that the Lord comes personally to give. That means he incarnates in his different forms to purify the world and to give people a chance to come to devotional service. When he was personally present, many people became Krishna conscious. You saw that also when Srila Prabhupada was personally present. People were becoming Krishna conscious very fast. When Prabhupada left, those who were practicing Krishna consciousness, some of them no longer were practicing. And as it says, when the Lord leaves, after establishing religious principles, when the pure devotee spiritual master departs, after guiding others in eternal religious principles, there is always difficulty and calamity afterwards. But it is the duty of those who are dedicated to the process of devotional service to become instruments to give them Krishna consciousness to others. And that's the will of the Lord. Therefore, they will always be successful because the will of the Lord is the supreme principle that governs all activities. We mentioned about his permissive will, which is not his direct will. And that's the ways the material energy works. Krishna sets up the material energy, the three modes, sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun, and they all have certain characteristics. And according to people's activities, which are according to their desires, they plug into a certain mode and there's a certain reaction that is given by that material energy according to the nature of that activity. That's his permissive will. He allows the material energy to give people their reactions of their activities. Although that may not be his direct will, it's his permissive will. That's why sometimes people criticize God. Why is God allowing people to suffer in this material world? Because they choose suffering by choosing the wrong activities, because they are connected with his material energy and they simply get the result. The formula or the solution is to connect with Krishna in devotion, become free from the influence of the three modes, and free themselves from suffering and connect themselves with the process of pure devotional service. And that way, they are not affected by his permissive will, which is how the material energy works. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sachirachiram. It works under his direction, but it's more, the analogy is like a watchmaker who makes a watch. And he puts the watch together, and then once the watch is done, he doesn't have anything to do with the watch, but the watch is working according to how he set it up. So material nature is set up in a certain way by the arrangement of the Lord, and therefore it's meant to elevate people or to give them reactions of their activities accordingly. So that is permissive will, but his direct will is what we see here. The Lord likes to fight, as was mentioned here, and therefore, as Prabhupada said, he must fight with a devotee, because he does fight with the demons, but those demons are really just pieces of feather compared to Krishna. Therefore, if Krishna wants to enjoy a good fight, he empowers his devotees to become demons, and then the fight becomes really exciting. It's like Hiranyakashipu wasn't a small demon. Hiranyakshar, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Shishupal, Dantravarka were the three manifestations of each of these demons that came in 3 different births, just to please the Lord by fighting, and to help the Lord to reestablish religious principles, and also to give pleasure to his devotees. And then of course, these personalities, apparently they were gatekeepers in the spiritual world, on the outskirts of the spiritual world, and they apparently offended the 4 Kumaras. Now their offense was arranged by the Lord in order for them to fall to the material world and fulfill the Lord's desires. So this is not done regularly. This is done only with those devotees who are fully surrendered to the Lord. Just like we have the example in a similar way, but not the same way, with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee, even from the time of his birth, practically. And he lived his life in devotional service. And then, of course, he always wanted to fulfill the desires of his spiritual master, who commanded him to go to the West and preach Krishna consciousness. And eventually, at the old age of 70 years old, he took up the service. But he wound up experiencing a lot of obstacles and difficulties, which, if Krishna wanted, he could have somehow or other changed everything around, but he didn't. He allowed his pure devotees to go through all of these difficulties just to show the world what it means, two things, what it means to sacrifice everything for the cause of the Lord and to preach Krishna consciousness. So in that case, Srila Prabhupada accepted the difficulties as the mercy of the Lord, not seeing it as something other than that, and using those difficulties to further his mission in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhupada had to go on a liner, a steam liner crossing the ocean 39 days, 2 heart attacks. Why didn't Krishna just give him a ticket, an airline ticket? He could have made that arrangement, but obviously he didn't. He wanted to show that this devotee is fully dedicated to my service. Therefore, the glory of the devotee becomes outstanding, just to bring that to the world. One time someone asked Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was Krishna himself, and he preached Krishna consciousness all over India when he was there. He traveled the whole subcontinent, spreading the glories of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why didn't he do that with the rest of the world? He could have, but he didn't. And Prabhupada said he left it for me to do. In other words, a lot of times the Lord likes to give credit to his devotee, so he allows what he could do very easily to his devotee as this devotee's service to glorify the devotee and to also push on religious principles. So this is the Lord. The Lord is, no one can figure out the workings of the Lord. If you could understand the Lord, you would be as good as the Lord. But we can accept whatever he does as his either direct will or his permissive will. Everything works under his control, either directly or indirectly. Therefore, devotee is always in the best position because they know whatever happens, it is being allowed or orchestrated by the Lord. It's for my purification. It's for my spiritual advancement. It's for my spiritual edification also. So therefore, devotees are always in the best position to reap the mercy of the Lord. When they surrender fully to the will of the Lord, then they make progress in devotional service, And as it says here, they inspire others by preaching Krishna consciousness. So we can get a little insight on how Krishna does things, but we can't ever understand how he does things. That's very difficult to understand because he sees the big picture and we see the small picture. Just like sometimes people say, well, if God knows everything and he knows what I'm going to do in the future, well, what is the use of me even doing anything if he knows everything? Yes, he knows everything, that's for sure. And he can see what you'll do in the future also. But therefore, by his mercy, he tries to change us by giving us opportunities for change, such as coming and personally, by coming in the form of his holy name, coming in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, coming in the form of his, in other words, he helps us change our destiny, which is already there by his mercy. And then the devotee gives up their bad habits, takes to Krishna consciousness, and their future changes. So although the Lord knows, he simply gives us a chance to make that change. And then when we make the change, we become glorious and we actually attain spiritual perfection. In other words, we become fully Krishna conscious. So the devotees have nothing to worry about. All they have to do is learn the will of the Lord through the spiritual master and execute it to the best of their ability. And Krishna does everything to elevate the Lord and to purify those in contact with that devotee. So therefore, a devotee is very happy because they see everything as the arrangement of the Lord, both apparently good and apparently bad. Bad means it doesn't go along with what I planned. Good means it does. But either way, our plans, it doesn't really matter, good and bad from our perspective, have no real importance. Good and bad from the perspective of Krishna, Krishna's perspective is whatever brings people to Krishna consciousness is good. Whatever takes them away is not good. So that's how Krishna sees it. We don't see it the same way. But we have to learn to see it that way. That's why it says, Tate nukampa shushamikshamanam, bunjareva kritam vipakam, vidvava hubir vidadanamaste jiveti yomukti padesha bhataya bhak. If Krishna puts someone in a difficult situation, the devotee thinks, oh, this is Krishna's mercy. He's purifying me. He's allowing me to take shelter of him even more in these difficult situations. Therefore, this difficult situation is actually for my spiritual purification, my edification, my advancement in spiritual life. So they never blame the Lord for what goes right or what goes wrong. They give credit to the Lord in all cases. They give credit to the spiritual master, and they stay fixed in their devotional service, knowing that by following the instructions carefully and continuously, they will reach the pure destination, which is Tattva Deham Purna Janmani Naiti Mameti Sun, to again return to the spiritual world, free from this cycle of birth and death, free from taking body after body, life after life, which are simply a burden upon the living entity. Okay, so we can stop there and see if there's any discussions or questions.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Just being here in itself is glorious. And hearing you speak is even more wonderful. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask, or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your questions. Hare Krishna.
Aribo.
Well, Maharaj, thank you so much. I have one quick question, and that is seeing everything happening in a devotee's life as Krishna's mercy. I am also thinking that sometimes certain things might happen in a devotee's life that might be due to that devotee's own ignorance or, excuse me to say, stupidity. I give two examples. There were two different occasions when our Gurudev, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, visited our zone, and his personal driver at one point was overspeeding because he was driving him to a public function and they were running late. So he was speeding to catch up so they don't run late. And Gurudev asked him not to overspeed. Another time, this same driver was driving Gurudev, and because usually devotees in the temple don't get enough rest most of the time, so he was driving, but he was dozing also. So Gurudev actually said he should not be driving him anymore. And he also said that henceforth, if the devotees are traveling, the driver should be spared to have more time of sleep before he drives the devotees. So I am trying to figure out at what point do we, trying to be devotees, acknowledge that whatever is happening in our lives is due to Krishna's plan, and there may be other times too, it's not Krishna's plan per se, but it's due to our own ignorance or inattentiveness. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah. If we work under the guidance of the superior authorities and we use our intelligence according to, we can apply those instructions to whatever we do. When we act whimsically or outside of the instructions, we're always light. There's a tendency that we may also find ourselves causing problems both for ourselves and for others. Krishna doesn't take away our independence, but he gives us the right understanding by which we should proceed in life. If we accept it, we'll always be in a good position. If we don't, we're putting ourselves in a situation where anything could happen. And if anything happens and it's outside of what we say, something acceptable, then Krishna's mercy is the reaction to that also. The reaction to that is Krishna's mercy as a way to teach us, or the way to purify us, or the way to punish us, either one, for acting outside of that. So Krishna's mercy works both in all situations. One is a corrective form, and one is a direct form.
Well, thank you, Maharaj. So we have to use our intelligence. Okay.
Yeah.
Under the guidance of the spiritual master. Of
Yeah.
course. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
When things are clear, then okay.
Yeah.
But when it's not clear, then we have to either get clarification through some source of information, or try to use our intelligence and apply what is needed in every situation. In other words, the speed wasn't going to be, you put yourselves in danger, and there could have been an accident. So Maharaj was correcting that.
Yeah.
So if he follows, fine, then he's being corrected, and everything goes on. But if he doesn't follow, something goes wrong, then the reaction is Krishna's mercy to purify that devotee or to teach a lesson. In other words, you can't flaunt the laws of material nature and think that because I'm devotee, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Well, Maharaj, there are two hands up. Dear devotees, please excuse me for 1 second. Maharaj, may I ask you this question before I forget? When is the disciples meeting coming up in New Vrindavan? I think I had heard you say something like in April next month.
Yeah, it's in New Mayapur, France.
Oh, I thought it was New Vrindavan.
No, New Mayapur, France.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
April 8th through April 12th.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Srimad Acharya Prabhu, please, you may unmute. You got muted again.
Who is that? Who's there?
Srimad Varaha. Otherwise, we go to Srimati Devi. Please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. So when we are talking about Lord's will so my understanding, I just want a clarification that whatever understanding I have is correct or not. So when we become a devotee, so we have a free will and we do whatever we want. But when we become a devotee or trying to be a devotee of the Lord, then is it right that Krishna guides us as Paramatma in our heart, from our hearts? And because it's already pre-planned, as you said, like Krishna knows everything, like past, present, and future. And we are trying to do some things in the present or in the future, but which is beneficial. Krishna is guiding us as Paramatma in our heart. Is that right understanding, Maharaj?
Well, can you hear Paramatma in the heart? It says that only when the mind and senses are fully controlled, Supersoul is already reached. But if when the mind and senses are not fully controlled, then one cannot hear Supersoul. And even if one can hear things within their mind, they have to understand what is Supersoul. So therefore, Supersoul manifests externally as the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is called Antaryami, the external manifestation of the Supersoul. But those who are fixed and advanced in devotional service, their intelligence is connected, because Supersoul works through the intelligence. It's connected. And therefore they can understand what to do or what not to do based on their connection with Supersoul. But that's a more or less an advanced stage of Krishna consciousness. People can achieve it, but those who are advanced, they not only achieve it, they stay within that. They know what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do, what to avoid, what to emphasize.
Okay. So until we reach that particular stage, we are under the guidance of the spiritual master and do whatever.
Yeah, that's the safe way.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And Srimati Devi, thank you so much for stepping in. Srimati Prabhu, are you back?
Yes.
You unmute?
Yes.
Okay, please unmute. Go ahead.
Chai Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. All glory to the Assembly devotees. Thank you very much for being present here, and forgive me for not being able to show my face. I'm doing some dirty work. I have two worries in my mind. One is the fact that the devotees, after many years, we've been hearing about how to take shelter of the holy name, how to take shelter of the process of devotional service. But we see the tendency to always want to take shelter of the material energy in different ways, according to different situations. In Africa here, we're seeing the tendency of devotees wanting to take shelter of the material energy in form of the voodoo tradition, mixing it with Krishna consciousness, and gradually trying to use that as the face of Krishna consciousness. A very, very unfortunate thing. But I don't think it's only limited to Africa. I think in different regions, it's happening in different ways. Those who believe in materialism are also taking shelter of the material energy in different ways, instead of taking full shelter of Krishna. And I'm asking myself, is it something in our preaching or application that is lacking? Because in reality, I have faith, and I think some do have faith. But in the face of what is happening globally and also locally, I am afraid that with time, it may be very difficult to have those devotees who actually represent what is pure Krishna consciousness. It's very scary because more and more people are trying to present the material energy in one form or the other as either a substitute or in an indirect way, saying that we need that also to practice Krishna consciousness. Whereas Krishna wants pure bhakti. So anyway, I hope my question is clear because it's very deep what I'm trying to explain, but I'm trying to make it not shell. Maybe you understand.
It's very clear, and it's a very interesting question too. And that is the tendency. Tendency is due to our conditioned nature, which is still there, to gravitate back to these things when we don't fully take shelter of the spiritual nature or the process of Krishna consciousness. But those who have understanding will understand that, as Krishna says, he controls the material nature. So if we take shelter of Krishna and follow according to the principles given in the process of devotional service, as explained by Srila Rupa Goswami, then the material energy will work accordingly and support whatever we need to do to help us become Krishna conscious. If we act outside of that and connect to the material energy based on some other principles, in other words, not within the context of devotional service, then we're putting ourselves in a very awkward situation and anything could happen. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the superior form of understanding everything because it's all inclusive. Outside of Krishna consciousness, there's nothing because Krishna ultimately is the supreme controller, both for the material and the spiritual. He says that in the Bhagavad Gita, I control both material and spiritual worlds. So we put ourselves under the control of Krishna. He controls the material energy. When we interact with that material energy, the material energy supports our Krishna consciousness. But if we act independent of Krishna's or the spiritual master's direction, then the material energy will react according to how we plug into it based on either the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, or the mode of goodness. So that tendency is there due to our conditioned nature or not having full faith in devotional service. So we have to give up that idea and have full faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, the principles given to us by Krishna through the spiritual master, by the acharyas such as Rupa Goswami, who teaches us the process of devotional service. So if we don't, then we're going on risky ground. And we're not going to make advancement either. We're trying to get out of the influence of material energy, not to give the material energy more credence, more proprietorships in our devotional activities. We're trying to push it aside, take shelter of the spiritual energy, which is superior than to the material energy. Material energy works under direction of the spiritual energy, which works under the direction of Krishna. So these other things you mentioned, Voodooism, people go to I Chi, or I Ching, some kind of Oriental ways of making decisions, and their tarot cards and whatever else they might think of, astrological predictions, whatever else they might think of. These are all things guided by the material energy.
Tidy work আমরা evaluate করবই না. We will only evaluate tidy work.
All right.
Yeah, so we're trying to get out of material energy, not go back into it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Maharaj, for the beautiful response. This question my senior god brother asked is a troubling situation, but we pray and hope that we'll be able to overcome it. Hamsadita Prabhu, please, if you're still there, you may unmute.
Yes, Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please
Hare
can you
Krishna.
accept my responsible obeisances of glory to Srila Prabhupada and no glory to you, Maharaj.
Who's speaking?
Hamsadita is
Yes,
speaking from
Maharaj.
Vrindavan.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your mercy, for giving me your mercy when I was taking initiation in Gitanagri.
Oh.
And I'm so blessed to see you again. Maharaj, I have two questions. It is said that when you see a beggar in the street and he's begging and he needs money to buy food, and this person, you can see that he's an alcoholic or a junkie. If you give him the money, he's going to use the money to buy drugs or alcohol. And because of you giving him the money, you are going to share the karma. So the best thing you have to do is buy the food for the person. So my question here is that when you find yourself in this particular situation and the food which is available at that particular moment is not vegetarian food, it's food made with meat and eggs and everything, do you still have to buy the food for the person or you don't have to? This is my first question, Maharaj.
Yeah, that's the same thing. You're doing something that is harmful for him. You're increasing his negative karma, and it's because the reactions of meat eating come in very horrible results for many. And if you're going to assist him in that, it's the same thing as like giving money to an alcoholic or a drug addict, because it's also within the category of sinful activity. You might say, well, it's not as bad, and that may have some truth, but ultimately, what I do is when we're traveling, we carry food in the car, and when people come to the window and beg, we give them some prasadam, like that. Sometimes they take it, and sometimes they want money instead. But we just always carry prasadam like that. So it's important to, if you know that's a possibility that you'll be approached when you travel, carry something that you could give them. If they take prasadam, they're benefited.
Okay, thank you so much, Maharaj. Because I was having the difficulty, so thank you for the answer. And Maharaj, my second question is, at what point a devotee will find himself in a group of people who are materialistics, like they enjoy self gratification, like drinking and doing all sorts of things, which is against Krishna consciousness. At one point, that's a devotee will say, okay, let me give them that to enjoy their senses, and I'll give them Krishna consciousness. At what point can a devotee can do that? Maharaj, this is my second question. Hare Krishna.
Why would a devotee be in that environment in the first place? Yeah, we avoid that kind of environment. Yeah, we don't just stay away from that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful answer. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Rudrakshi Devi, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, please accept my humble obeisance in your lotus feet. Am I audible, Maharaji?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello. Ji Maharaji, I have a question. Like, as we said that we are a part of Krishna, like we are a Atma and he is a Paramatma. Then why we all get attracted towards the materialistic things, like watching movies and watching doing participate in materialistic things. Why don't we get attracted towards the spirituality? As we are a part of a Paramatma, so we have to be attracted naturally with the spiritual things, right? But not we are getting into that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so why are
Hare
you
Krishna.
doing it? Stop it. Conditioned nature, you're conditioned. Our constitutional nature is spiritual, our conditioned nature is material, our conditioned nature is long-term due to association with matter. Because we've been in material bodies life after life, we have a tendency towards material life. That's called the coverings over the soul. So the process of bhakti cuts away the coverings and reveals our spiritual nature. When most of the coverings are free, then we'll be naturally attracted to activities in the spiritual. And we'll see the material activities as simply something very disgusting, something very harmful, something uninteresting. But because we're covered, we see that way. If you put on purple glasses, then you see the world as purple. If you put on yellow glasses, everything looks yellow. If you see through the eyes of material desires, then the material world looks attractive. You have to see through spiritual vision. Spiritual vision is given to us by the spiritual master and by the scriptures. Change your direction, that's all. If you haven't, and even if you can't understand why, you should do it because you know it's beneficial. The doctor gives you medicine, you may not like the medicine, but you know the medicine's good for you, so you take it. So we may be more attracted to the material energy than the spiritual energy, but the medicine is to change our attraction towards Krishna. Even though we may not be attracted to Krishna, we know it's the right thing to do. So do what's right, not do what you like to do.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bharat Prabhu, you had said you had a second question. Do you still have the question or it's been answered? Maharaj, I have this question, please. At my present stage in devotional service, I find devotional service to be very, very difficult. in the sense that I am an individual. I have my own desires. There are some things I would want to see happen in my life. There are some things I do not want to experience in my life. But once I become a devotee of Krishna, it's like I give myself to Krishna and I say, Krishna, do with me as you please. I'm asking this question in regards to what we're discussing. Jai Vijay, they are gatekeepers of the Lord in Vaikuntha. And I am assuming that it wasn't their preference to come down here on this earth planet and go through pains. But the Supreme Lord designed it that way. So they came down here after they had been cursed by the four Kumaras. Now, the question I have is, do we have in the records at some point when somebody cursed a devotee or desired something ill on a devotee and Krishna interrupted, Krishna stopped it? In this case of Jai Vijay, Krishna said, I can stop it, but I'm not going to stop it. And that makes me feel for Jai Vijay because I believe that they probably didn't want to come down here, but as a matter of service to their master, they came here. But in the case of somebody like me struggling, if somebody cursed me and Krishna didn't change the curse, I'm a bloop. And so I'm just wondering if there is an instance where somebody was cursed or maybe being punished and Krishna intervened right away. Thank you, Maharaj.
You take shelter of Krishna, yeah, he will. But if you take shelter of trying to counteract the curse, you may not be successful. You say, my dear Krishna, you put me in this situation. There must be some reason. So if it's your desire, I'll accept it and and I take shelter of you. But if it's not your desire, please free me from this curse or this ill fate that coming upon me. Yeah. So we can pray to Krishna. We should pray to Krishna for everything, but we should always ask for shelter and not just simply ask for his intervention in our life. We shouldn't ask Krishna to serve us. We should ask Krishna, just give me shelter so I can serve you. And in that shelter, you're protected.
Well, Maharaj, see, my Gurudev used to say the most powerful prayer in the Bible is "Thy will be done," and he actually encouraged us to pray like that. And I remember being a rascal. I told Gurudev that.
Yeah, you might have to learn a lesson.
Yes, but at my stage now, where I cannot pray to Krishna that thy will be done, because I do not know what Krishna may throw my way and that I may not
That means you don't
like to have it. How do I pray to Krishna?
that means you don't trust him. If you trust him, you knows whatever he does is beneficial for his devotee. That's trust. He doesn't take his devotee down. He doesn't just allow something to happen to the devotee just because he's always bringing the devotee closer to him in every situation. So if you trust Krishna, then you can accept it. Your Guru Maharaj was an example of that. He accepted what he went through as Krishna's mercy.
Yeah.
And he used it in such a way that he was actually feeling transcendental happiness.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Maharaj. Govinda Prabhu, it seems you have something to ask. You may unmute, Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Sadhu Prabhu. Maharaj, my respectful obeisances to you.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to you. All glories to your service. Respectful obeisances to the assembled devotees. Maharaj, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. You are advising us to see Krishna in everything, and therefore to surrender fully to Krishna. And then at the same time, you're also saying that according to time, place, and different situations, we should use our intelligence. So how do we see Krishna? For instance, I have a problem with somebody, or I may be in need of something, and I will use my intelligence to the best of my ability. I will use my strength. I will do everything possible to get what I want. But it's not happening. And I keep doing. I keep struggle. I keep, do everything possible. But it's still not working, and I will not stop because I feel that I can get it. Drupadi did the same thing when she was about to be disrobed by the Kauravas. She did everything possible.
Yeah.
And finally she surrendered fully to Krishna. But I'm nowhere close to Drupadi. Drupadi is a devotion to the Lord. So I cannot imitate that example.
But
so in this situation, where can I, at what point?
You won't get the same test Draupadi got. Krishna will only test you. Prabhupada says Krishna only tests you to the level you can pass the test. He won't put you in a situation where you can't pass. But you may feel this is different beyond my ability. That's because you haven't fully surrendered. When you fully surrender, then you see, oh, yes, I can easily pass beyond this. So using your intelligence, try to understand how to deal with the situation and depend on Krishna at the same time. Both. You have to use both. You use your intelligence. You just don't sit back. Like Arjuna was on the chariot. He didn't say, well, I'm not going to fight, and therefore, because you're on the chariot, you should fight. You should do everything. No, Krishna told him, you fight, but because I'm here, actually, you will be successful because you're fighting on my behalf. So Krishna puts us in situations where we're forced to use our intelligence because, as Prabhupada said, using your intelligence means to try to understand how to act in the best possible way in all situations. But then again, there's another element that while you're using your intelligence, you also pray to Krishna for his mercy at the same time. Not just one and not just the other, both. Find them both. We don't give up.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't give up our intelligence.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay. Shrimavara Prabhu, are you still there?
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Maharaj.
Where are we?
Hare Krishna.
Shrimavara is in Togo, West Africa.
Okay, there you go. I see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so So my other question is like, what is going on in the world today? I mean, there is this uh, unfortunate war going on in Iran, U.S., Israel, and and I mean, like you can see that this was going to happen. I mean, like you could see that. Excuse me to say, maybe it's not the right comment to make, but I just want to use as an example. So there you have a leader in America making decisions that are not very globally friendly, and then all these kind of things happening, and everyone see it coming, and despite all this, it's getting worse, and it's like no one can do anything about it, even though even the most simpleton can tell that this kind of leadership will lead to disastrous end. So the same thing in devotional community. Sometimes it's like we're stuck. You see, you see the leadership, and it's like it's like everyone is. This is not good for us. This is not. Things are not happening well. But it's like we're stuck. It's not changing. So the question is, do we stop worrying and we just believe that, yeah, Krishna at his own time will make things better, and there's no use to try to do anything? That is my worry. Hare Krishna.
Okay, well, you have to see the situation and see if the leaders are not acting properly. And then there's what is called a default program where someone does something or some group gets together and challenges what is being done in the name of leadership. If the leaders are acting properly, then that's different. But if they're acting outside of their in other words, if they're not following the instructions of their superiors in order to may do their service, they may be what is it called? Not qualified to lead, but they're in a position of leadership. So when that happens, everyone suffers. Yeah, Prabhupada said that also. Bad leaders cause others to suffer. And so therefore, in a sangha of devotees, we have what is called some program where we go to the leaders of the leaders and state our case and say, this is the situation, and try to get retribution from those who are in a higher position. When that's one of the ways when we deal with it, some kind of resolution, some kind of complaint that shows that those who are leading are causing problems amongst the devotees. But everything has to be clear. It shouldn't be it's just because of me, nobody else feels like me, then it may be your problem in the first place and not the leader's problem. So it's a very complex situation. And therefore, the standard is the leaders should lead in such a way that the devotees feel inspired by that leadership and are willing to surrender more and more. And the devotees and the leaders should be in a position where they do everything they can to bring the devotees closer to Krishna through the process of devotional service. So there's rules and regulations to follow, and so everyone must follow accordingly. But the goal has to be there. So it can be a complex situation, depending on who's leading, what's the situation, who's being victimized, who's not being victimized. But when it comes right down to it, the leaders should be very kind and affectionate towards those they lead. And the followers should be very obedient to those that are leading them. If you have this ingredient, then everything works nicely. Nobody follows a leader who simply gives instructions but doesn't develop relationships with those that they lead. You see leaders, sometimes they don't deal with the people they lead, they just give instructions. That's not a good leader. Sri Ram himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he dealt with so many different situations, but he was always personal to everybody. his family members, the monkeys, even the demons. Everything was done on a very personal level, not just from afar. So leaders have to be involved with the devotees as much as the devotees are involved with their own service.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Your answer to this question makes me feel like we should have a special workshop for leadership from Your Holiness. That would be very awesome. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And dear devotees, we thank you all for all your questions. I think we are coming close to the end of our Sangha today, but there was one very beautiful question in the chat room from Sakshi Desai. Maharaj, if you permit me, I would like to read her question and probably you help her and in the long run help all of us. I says, Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances to you, Maharaj. How should we approach spiritual master to know the Lord's will for us? What is the right way to ask this question? What should be the internal mood? I'm thinking this question should be asked at a matured stage of devotional life. I need some clarification.
Yeah, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tadvari pratipatena pariprasyena sevaya upadeksyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshanaha. Paripratena pariprasyena sevaya. These are the three ingredients. One should approach in a humble mood. One should approach in a mood of inquisitiveness, trying to understand, trying to learn. And one should be always ready to offer service. These three things are the ways one approaches the spiritual master. Not in a challenging mood, not simply to take up the spiritual master's time. No, simply for understanding how I can progress in devotional service through instructions, through seva. But it has to be done humbly. Humbly means I'm willing to accept what comes my way. In other words, I ask my question, I get the answer. If I don't understand the answer, then I can ask further questions to clarify the answer. But everything has to be done in that mood.
Well, thank you so much, Maharaj. I think we've come to the end of our Sangha today with His Holiness, which has been nothing short of bliss and transcendental knowledge. Maharaj, by Sri Guru Krishna's grace, we meet here every day, Monday through Friday. And this has been going on for the past 6 years nonstop, which is very beautiful. But I've been requesting this prayer several times, but I'll keep requesting when we have devotees of your humble caliber that as much as we hear every day, we also pray to the gurus and the advanced devotees and the Supreme Lord that we do not just become listeners or hearers, but also doers. So Maharaj, we pray at your lotus feet that we do what we hear so that we can actually benefit. Just by hearing is beneficial, but we want to be a little greedy. We want to have the fullest benefit, so we want to be the doers. So
Yeah.
it is our prayer that Maharaj, you pray for us that we do not just become hearers and listeners of the sweet katha, but also practice what we hear. This is our humblest prayer to your lotus feet, Maharaj.
I would just add, in every session that we hear, we should take away at least one point and apply it in our life that will change the way we think and the way we act. At least one thing, if not more. Otherwise, just hearing is nice, as you say, and it is also good. But if there's no change, then we're not really hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There has to be change.
Well, Maharaj, if you may give like a concluding remark, then we'll bring this to a final close. We are very, very grateful for your darshan, Maharaj, today. And I will not be able to travel to France. I wish the meeting was coming up in New Vrindavan, but we'll pray to be there with you in spirit and all the departments. But if you have a concluding remark, please.
Yeah, come to Sadhu Sangha in New Orleans, then we can dance together.
Hi, Hare Krishna. Wow. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all, with one voice, one heart, one love, chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to His Holiness CANDRAMAULI Maharaj for sharing his love and wisdom with us all day. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama, Hare Hare.
Kalpa Karindya
Panchakarataruvyascha Sarvasya Chitana Bhavana Vishnu Vaishnavi.
Nanta Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Paris to Holiness CANDRAMAULI Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
jai. All
Jai.
Jagat Krishna Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Grab me
All
that
Lord Assembled Vaishnava
the red
Vaishnava
one.
devotees ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,